Hey guys, so I wanted to do a video all about grafting, and this one I'm going to show you pretty much the basics. This that I have here is a grafting tool. It basically does all the work for you, but you know, back way before they had these, they did all the grafting by hand. And I have a grafting knife. That's this. It's a Swiss Army grafting knife, and a lot of them, if you'll see, this is just a regular straight blade, but a lot of them have like an extra little spot on the side of it. Kind of hard to explain, but that would be like a bark peeler, and I'll show you in a little bit, you know, kind of the reason they had that in the first place. So there's a lot of different kinds of graft. So my favorite kind is, it's called wedge grafting, and you basically cut a V in your rootstock, and then your scion, which would, in this case, this is going to be my next part that I graft onto. So your rootstock is your base, what's attached to the tree or the tree itself that you are going to be grafting on. Your scion is the piece that you cut off to forage onto that plant. So often it's of the same species of a different variety. In this case, this is a peach tree. I'm not exactly sure what variety, but it's pretty much your standard peach tree. And I have a red peach that I'm going to cut the scion of and put it onto this rootstock. So the wedge graft is basically, you have a V on your rootstock and you cut a like a chisel point that then fits into that V. And it has to fit completely smooth, so that's, you know, often why people go for the tool instead of the knife, because there's a lot of different, you know, like there's a lot of room for error if you just do it with a knife. Now, if you ever have watched any grafting tutorials on YouTube, then I've watched a couple just for the fun of it and to see how other people do things. And a lot of people have cut their fingers on their tutorial by doing this. So that's another reason why the tool is really helpful, because, you know, you've basically got everything you need here instead of having to go and try to cut it with your actual hand. So I have both because I really want to gain up my skill. I want to find out and figure out how to do it by myself first instead of having to rely on a tool. So if you look here, this tool has like a little V shape there, and this is your blade. Here are just your pruners, your clippers for actually cutting your, you know, actually cutting the piece you need. But in here, it's got like a little V shape, and there's a different, you know, a wide variety of different grafts you can do just by getting the blade that fits in it. So in this case, I'm going to show you a graft with this and then a graft by hand. It's a little bit easier to do like fruit trees and things with a tool, and then use your knife for, you know, like pepper plants or tomatoes, or more of your like this is your woody branches. You want to use your herbaceous plants for your actual knife grafting. So come over here, I'm going to show you this plant here. This is just, we haven't pruned our fruit trees yet, so right now I'm just grafting based off what I know is going to be here, and, you know, kind of to get the shape you want, because the graft that you make is not going to be something that you're going to prune off in a couple of years. You want it to make sure it lasts and that it's here for a very long time. So selecting your branch is really important just for that reason. So just as my example, I'm going to cut this one here. I'm going to cut it first to show you all, and then kind of got my V there. So I'm just going to stick it in. So it may not have been big enough, but you can kind of see that this one kind of creates a little bow shape, as you can see. I forgot exactly what kind this is. I believe that it said it was a whip graft, like a whip and tongue, but I'm not exactly sure about that. It's a little different than the ones I usually see that say whip and tongue. So anyway, you basically just, you know, do your scion like this, and then whatever you're grafting it onto, you would have your, it would be your rootstock. So these are not, I did it the wrong way. Yes, like that. This is not really perfect as an example, because you want the same thickness between your scion and your rootstock. So then you can see it fits in really smoothly there. And I have my grafting tape somewhere, and that's this here. And it's like, some people say you can use electrical tape instead, but that is a horrible idea. The roll, and you could get it most places for about $6-8, and it's just, it makes your life so much easier. So, just gonna grab a piece here, and just make sure it's lined up completely when you start, and just your main goal is you don't want to get any air inside of it. So you're going to tighten it up really well. And this one really is just an example to show you guys how to do it. And then I will show you the other one, if I can keep this thing still. I'll show you on the other branch, you know, the other way of doing it. Now this is not working very well. My last one did really, really well. Okay, it kind of moved all over the place. Alright, so it's just like that. And you just want to tighten it down really well. I'm going to end up putting a second piece of tape on this, but you just want to make sure that these two are fused together perfectly and that there's no air gaps in there or anything. So that's pretty much it for, you know, this whole section here. The last thing you want to do is label it. I have these awesome tags here, and you just put it around the branch, write on it with a permanent marker, and that's pretty much it. You always want to label these because this season it's really easy to forget what it is, and if you have two branches that are green that you're doing it with, then it's even harder because they both look similar and you have to wait for, you know, either whatever characteristic that you're going with to be able to play out in that before you see exactly what branch it is. So that's the importance of labeling it. So now we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you one with my Swiss Army grafting knife. And I'm going to try to do it quickly before the sun sets, but we're going to take it on this branch right here, and this is going to be basically exactly what I did with the tool, but by hand. So I've grabbed my scion, and it's a little bit longer than you want, so I'm going to cut it, but you want to cut it about probably ½ inch to an inch after your bud here, because you're going to have some natural dieback. So I'm going to probably cut it there, and you want to do it a little bit at an angle just so no water sits on it and stays. And next I'm going to grab my knife, if I can find what pocket I put it in. So now I'm going to cut my rootstock, and I've chosen this branch right here because it's about the same thickness as my scion. So I'm going to go about right here, just on the inside of that. Cut it even. And now I'm going to take my grafting knife and just do it this way so you guys can see it. Halfway down the branch, and you want to cut into it just enough. Okay, so I cut it down just barely to there. Now this is a time-sensitive matter to get it just how you need it. And you just start on either side and shave it back. Go ahead and cut that butt off. Alright. And you want it at a pretty good tip, but you don't want it too flimsy or it's not really going to stay. It's looking pretty good right there. So now you can see we've got a thin edge. I'm going to take it back a little bit more on this side just to get them equal. And I think that's it. You can see you've got your point here, and that's going to fit into your section on the other tree. Right here. Alright, so I'm just going to gently fold that out and place this in there. Now, if this was on a larger branch, I'm going to cut it just slightly. Okay. If this was on a larger branch, you would want to seal it with wax instead. Actually, I'm going to cut that a little bit further. It's best to cut it too far and know that your plant is safe than to not cut it far enough and rip the seam. Actually, I see that's a little bit crooked now. Just going to go gently down the side. I'm just like that, clearing out the inside. Alright, so you want to make sure you have enough space there that your scion, your rootstock does not rip the corner, but that looks pretty good to me. So now I'm just going to get my piece of grafting tape and tighten it down really well and make sure that there's no areas that, you know, there's no place that the exposed skin is out, because then there's area in way for bacteria to grow. Alright, so now you can see I'm tightening it down both on the base here and on the upper part of my scion, just to make sure that no water or air or any kind of stuff can get in there and cause fungus to grow. And just like that. So, there it is. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I had fun doing it, and if you have any questions about grafting or, you know, kinds of grafts or anything, please feel free to message me. My Instagram is linked to my YouTube, so if you go to my channel, there's a button there and you can go and, yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching this.